Coming up tonight on Now, we catch up with Deb Roberts as she just returned from her trip to Puerto Rico to deliver all of those supplies that she gathered.
Plus, we actually sent a reporter to Puerto Rico to find out the real story on what's happening there, what the living situation is like.
Plus, how many things do you think you need in your car to stay safe in case you get stranded in the cold? 5 or 6? Tennyson tells us it's a lot more than that.
This is News Center now.
If you got hats, scarves, or mittens for Christmas, you're about to get some very good use out of them because, baby, it's cold outside.
Yeah, it is.
Hey guys, I'm Chris Costa in for Lee Goldberg.
And I'm Amanda Hill. The snow moved on yesterday, but freezing temps are moving in to take its place. Jess Conley standing in for Keith Carson this week. Jess, we really shouldn't expect a warm up anytime soon, should we?
Nah, it's going to be quite a while, guys. And we're talking about temperatures below 20 degrees. Most of us will be below 15 for a week, maybe even more than a week. So it is going to be very, very cold. Make sure you protect your pipes in your house. Make sure you get the pets inside. These are our current temperatures. This is about as warm as it's going to get over the next 7 or 8 days. So be prepared for it. 14 right now in Bangor. It's 18 in Portland. With the wind chill, though, of course, it feels much cooler. Feels like 2 right now in Bangor. Feels like 3 below in Millinocket. Feels like 9 in Portland. It already feels like 10 below in Caribou. And we are going to be talking about the wind chill every day this week because some of the wind chills are going to get dangerously cold. We're talking about frostbite in under 30 minutes. Satellite radar showing clearing skies. We had a couple clouds around today, but for the most part, we are clearing out now. We're going to see higher pressure move in, so that will bring us sunshine during the day. But overnight, skies are able to clear out and temperatures are able to cool off tonight. Our overnight lows drop into the single digits at the coast. Farther inland, we are well below 0, guys. So we'll talk more about the cold temperatures coming up in a bit.
All right, thanks, Jess. A lot of you traveling for the holidays. The weather definitely made that interesting.
One of our producers who traveled south today from Caribou said that there were some roads that were still pretty slick this morning. Yeah. Obviously, slide-offs are pretty hard to avoid, but if you get stuck, you really have to be prepared.
Yeah, so News Center's Tennyson Coleman shows us on what we can do to kind of help stay prepared.
If you were dreaming of a white Christmas, well, it looks like you got what you were wishing for. We got hit pretty hard with the snow over the holiday weekend. MainDOT has a list of 19 essentials that you should have with you in your car as you're traveling back home and throughout the winter to make sure you're ready for the unexpected. Winter snow can turn into winter woes when you're out on the roads. And whether you're traveling home after Christmas or heading to and from work this week, it's best to be prepared.
A lot of things that we're seeing lately is people are having difficulty starting their cars on the cold morning. The stress of the cold is making it difficult for the car to start.
Ty Taylor is a mechanic at Bennett Auto Center in Bangor. He says weak car batteries can have issues starting during the winter, but that's not the only problem drivers face when it's cold out.
Also, we're seeing a lot of snow packed in wheels, which will cause a vibration while driving your car. So something might feel a little different, might feel like your steering wheel shaking.
The Maine Department of Transportation has a list of items it recommends you keep in your vehicle as winter continues. Among those items are a shovel and windshield scraper, battery jumper cables, salt to help melt ice, food, water, and extra windshield fluid. Taylor also suggests making sure your wiper blades are equipped for snow and ice.
And when I replace them, especially in the winter, there's a specific winter blade with a nice rubber boot on it, which doesn't allow snow to collect on the blades.
Keep these things in mind when getting from point A to point B, so you don't get stranded somewhere in between. For News Center, I'm Tennyson Coleman.
By the way, you can see that full list of recommended items on our website and mobile apps.
All right, so the presents are unwrapped, the leftovers are in the fridge. So when is it time to call it quits and take down your Christmas tree?
Obviously, our digital diva, Ms. Katie Ortiz, not so ready to take this down. But because St. Nick has already been here, it might be time to take down the stockings hung by the chimney with care. We wanted to know when most Mainers begin to undeck the halls. So we asked you to weigh in on Facebook. Dan says Christmas is not over until Epiphany. That day is January 6th. Ginger says she likes to keep the tree up as long as possible during the long, dark nights because it's a bright spot filled with love and memories. I kind of agree with that one. Anne says she will keep the tree up until her grandchildren can come and visit since they didn't make it yesterday because of all that snow.
Patricia has a plan. She says they wait until New Year's Day to take everything down because they can watch the football games, and I'm assuming she means in the background. Then Bev may have her tree up the longest. She says she just got a hip replacement, so she isn't able to do it for a while. So get this, she plans to put some hearts on the tree in February for Valentine's Day.
You know who else does that? Sharon Rose Vasnes. She usually decorates her tree for all the different holidays. So
even St. Patrick's Day.
All right, New Year's Eve coming up, the big new year. We all make resolutions. We try to stick to them, but we know it can be very difficult. So this week, we're getting some helpful tips from Gretchen Noonan, a program coordinator with Let's Go, a healthy eating and exercise program available in schools and healthcare practices statewide. Tonight, she's sharing advice on how to pick a resolution that sets you up for success. She says to start with something small like walking 10 or 15 minutes 3 times a week or bringing your lunch to work.
One of the things you want to do is have an action plan when you choose your goal, and that would be figuring out how you're going to achieve that, what your barriers might be, and one of the greatest things about an action plan is finding someone that can help you achieve that. So whether you decide to go for a walk with a coworker, or you might need help at home if you want to start bringing your lunch every day and your spouse is already making their lunch, that might be a really easy way for you to achieve your goal.
Noonan says once you achieve the small steps, you can set your sights on additional goals and build on creating more healthy habits. Tomorrow on News Center Now, we'll hear from Noonan about getting back on track if you slip up on your goal. I know for me, the hardest part is during the holidays. Once the holidays are over, I can get right back on track. But it's like right now with everybody's off and everybody wants to be together, it's like I can't keep it up.
Well, and I think we go so hard at it that sometimes it's hard to stick to it, like she said, so those baby steps, that helps for sure. All right, you donated, she delivered.
And everything that they received from us and from the other charities.
Deb Roberts went to Puerto Rico and saw the devastation for herself, but also the hope that people have.
Plus an in-depth look at life on the U.S. territory after Hurricane Maria and what communities are doing to help their struggling neighbors. Those stories and more when Now returns.
Months after Maria, many towns in Puerto Rico are still without power, but some people there were smiling just before Christmas thanks to a visit from a woman from Maine.
Deb Roberts is the mother of Michael Holland. Holland was a crew member on board the cargo ship El Faro. That ship sank in Hurricane Joaquin 2 years ago on a voyage to Puerto Rico.
Roberts held a supply drive, collecting donations to bring to the people there after Hurricane Maria ravaged the island. She just got back from hand delivering those items and said the experience was very emotional.
It was a sea of blue tarps. Every other home, the roof was completely covered with blue tarps.
Homes destroyed, thousands still without power. The people of Puerto Rico need help.
Trees laid right over for miles, wires everywhere, and no electrical trucks in sight yet.
Deb Roberts knows the devastation and the beauty of the island.
Making our first delivery of donated supplies.
She and her husband just returned from a trip there, bringing supplies donated by people from Maine and hand delivering them to some of those who need it most.
They appreciated everything that they received from us and from the other charities.
Roberts started a supply drive at the beginning of the month, collecting items like toothbrushes, food, and water, all in honor of her late son, Mike. He died when the cargo ship he worked on sank during Hurricane Joaquin as it traveled to Puerto Rico.
Getting to see through my eyes what he had seen and why he loved the island so much, and then to be able to help the people of the island that he loved was really meaningful. And as soon as we pulled in, they were singing, dancing in the streets. They were just so thankful and so happy. That really surprised me that you wouldn't know if you couldn't see around in the conditions they were living in. You wouldn't know what they had been through.
This trip is a little overdue. Roberts planned to go there in October on the 2-year anniversary of the ship sinking to see a lighthouse constructed in honor of the 33 crew members, including 4 from Maine. But when Maria barreled across the U.S. territory, her trip was put on hold. Now she's seen both lighthouses, one in Jacksonville, Florida, and this one in Puerto Rico.
It was really sweet, but it was really emotional. It's very personal to see Mike's name on the lighthouse. It was an emotional moment very fulfilling moment.
To see her son's frequent journey and now her efforts come full circle.
It's what helps me get through day in and day out, you know, to come to grips and deal with the fact that I've lost Mike and that I'm not going to have him again. Doing things in his memory and honoring his legacy is just, like I said, it's my job for the rest of my life. So everything that I can do to fulfill that and make sure that that happens is a fulfilling moment for me.
Now, Roberts did have some help. Walmart donated the tractor trailer truck and the driver, while Tote, the company that owned El Faro, shipped the items to Puerto Rico on one of its vessels. Roberts is now planning for the ice fishing derby in her son's memory that will raise money for a scholarship for students from Maine going to college here.
It's always a really huge event, too. Yeah. Now, what Deb was describing, a sea of blue tarps, is the reality in Puerto Rico. People are literally left without a roof over their heads. Many say they're trying to be patient, but the federal help they need is not coming fast enough.
So they need people like Deb to step up and help them in their time of need. But more and more Puerto Ricans say they realize they may be on their own. Lilia Luciano reports.
¿Y el huracán?
San Felipe lo pasé. San Ciprián.
San Ciprián también.
Y San Nicolás.
At 98 years old, Felicita Concepcion still remembers Hurricane San Felipe in 1928 and San Ciprián in 1936. They stood out in history as the deadliest in Puerto Rico. Felicita says Maria was worse.
No me acuerdo.
¿Qué recuerda de esos huracanes?
Bueno, que el más fuerte que pasó ahora.
We're in El Ingenio. It's a neighborhood that's between Toa Alta and Toa Baja. This is the place where the most people died immediately during Maria.
The town of Toa Baja was caught between river flooding from the La Plata Dam and storm surge from the ocean up north. Within the first 2 days of the hurricane, the mayor reported 8 people had drowned. And according to Governor Pedro Rosselló, over 2,000 were rescued from their homes.
Porque subía el agua, que ya no había remedio. Aquí todo se me dañó, el televisor y todo, porque subió mucho, yo vivo en lo bajito. Apareció Dani de milagro.
¿En bote?
Gracias a Dani estamos vivos.
Daniel Otero, better known as DOC, is a famous Puerto Rican rapper. He's lived his whole life in El Ingenio. When he realized the water continued to rise, he found a neighbor with a boat and rushed to rescue his great-grandmother.
Literalmente el kayak pasaba por encima de los cables de electricidad.
Estos cables?
Sí, no, justamente este poste ahí, por ahí fue que nosotros pasamos.
Wow. So he's saying that when he went out with some other neighbors to rescue his grandmother, the water was just over these electric cables that we're seeing here.
In the days that followed the hurricane, water remained stagnant, animal corpses were rotting, and people were hungry. And when the days and weeks passed with no sign of FEMA, he reached out to the only nonprofit he knew, even though Buena Vibra was a foundation for the arts.
And we saw all the people crying in the street. I was so impressed.
At 2.5 months, just as we got to El Ingenio, we saw FEMA contractors cleaning up debris and installing some blue tarps on houses that had lost their rooftops. But Emil and his colleague Celso explained that they had just recently started to come around.
You know, we've been here for almost 2 weeks cleaning this house and painting it and trying to get it back on its feet because it was all mud. She lost everything inside. And
did FEMA or anybody come help her?
They came today.
Marta spent the hurricane in a shelter and returned 3 days later to find her home was completely flooded.
Allí me sentía bien en eso, pero cuando vine aquí, por poco me muero, porque el agua subió a 6 pies arriba de mi casa. Eso fue todo pérdida total. Todo, estufa, nevera, lavadora, todo. Una persona, cuando está en su casa y le pasa eso, necesita ayuda.
Her house has holes where mice and rats can get in, leaks that could threaten the roof, and humidity that could accumulate hazardous mold. Buena Vibra will try to buy her kitchen appliances and patch up the roof while she waits to hear back from any federal aid. The blue roof doesn't seem like the most essential thing she needs, but her daughter was told that refusing it means refusing FEMA help altogether. I asked FEMA about this, and they said that's not the case.
How does somebody who lose their home or lose part of their home request help from FEMA?
Well, first of all, you got to register, and that is the important thing we keep emphasizing. In fact, that people need to register to get into the system.
There are a series of options, including grants, public housing, rental assistance, and even relocation to the U.S. Diego Padilla Castro, whose home collapsed, was still waiting for the $500 advance FEMA gives many hurricane victims. 2 weeks ago, he was told that he has been approved to move into public housing, but he was still waiting for an address transfer on his official documents.
Va a empezar de nuevo, desde cero. ¿Cómo se siente sobre eso?
Estos 30 una cosa que le entienden para adelante.
For some people who don't qualify for FEMA grants immediately, FEMA refers them to the U.S. Small Business Administration, where they can get special loans to rebuild their homes and businesses.
There's a lot of confusion right now because some of the people who were here within the first few days received some kind of funding, and then the ones who remain say, we don't know what the difference is. We've been told that it just depends on the inspector. So it's been 2.5 months and they're still living in the shelter, patiently waiting to see what options they have.
An agency spokesperson told me that SBA encourages people to apply for the loans because if they don't qualify, SBA would send them back to FEMA and then they might qualify for FEMA grants. Despite offering better conditions than a traditional loan, many people are afraid of borrowing, so they just don't apply. That's where many nonprofits and community organizing steps in.
Puerto Ricans are more aware about how the United States can help Puerto Rico and how they can help Puerto Rico. When we are on the street working with the people, we have been seeing a new way of Puerto Ricans. They're more willing to do it by themselves.
As we toured the island, we met many people who are not sitting idly waiting for the bureaucracy of the federal, state, or municipal institutions. They're instead lifting Puerto Rico with their bare hands and creating with that strength a new paradigm.
This is just one episode of a 6-part series called Puerto Rico Rises. To see more of these stories or learn about the Puerto Rico relief effort, you can visit the Now section of our website.
All right, bundle up because the temperatures are going down. Jess Conley will tell us just how long we will have to endure the single digits. Coming up in your full forecast.
There is a developing situation in Westbrook. Our reporter on the scene says a police negotiator appears to be making contact with someone inside 34 Lamb Street, an apartment building. Neighbors say they were told to evacuate and are now waiting inside their cars. Several officers are on the scene, and it appears weapons are drawn. We'll bring you updates as they come in. Follow Lindsay Mills and Clay Gordon on Twitter for the latest information.
Traffic was backed up on I-295 in the southbound lane near Freeport this afternoon for several hours. The reason? A 7-car pileup. One person involved in the crash described it as a bumper-to-bumper traffic situation when cars started swerving all over the place. Injuries appear to be minor. State police and Brunswick firefighters helped move traffic along in the single open lane.
The Patriots are on the brink of signing a new defensive weapon. James Harrison was released by the Pittsburgh Steelers on Saturday, and today he posted on his Instagram a picture of him in the Patriots locker room with none other than TB12, saying, quote, finally, a teammate older than me. Harrison is a 5-time Pro Bowl selection and holds the Steelers franchise record for sacks. So that's a good weapon for the Patriots.
Yeah, that's pretty telling in that post, too. Speaking of posts, Central Maine Power recently tweeted 1,300 customers still without power right now, and that's going to be tough tonight.
I know, it's so cold out there, and then the wind is blowing, too, so it's going to feel even colder, you know, if you're outside in it. But if you don't have power, make sure you're trying to, I don't know, stay warm. Maybe go to a friend's house and hang out for a little bit or something because it is chilly. This is a look at the current wind chill. Remember, this is just what it feels like on any bare skin if you're outside. It feels like 3 below in Millinocket. Currently feels like 2 in Bangor, feels like 9 in Portland, not quite as bad. Feels like 6 right now in both Lewiston and in Augusta. All right, overnight tonight, we have a wind chill advisory for much of the state. Let me get out of the way so you can really see. Most of northern and western Maine is where that wind chill advisory is. Just be very careful, again, if you're spending a lot of time outside, either tonight or through the day tomorrow. That wind chill advisory starts at 10 o'clock tonight, and it goes through 7 o'clock tomorrow night. So that includes the entire day for tomorrow. What that wind chill advisory means is that the temperature will feel like 15 below, as cold as 35 below, especially through the overnight hours tonight. Make sure you're keeping your pets inside or letting them out for as short of a time as possible. Protect your pipes too. You can drip that water, that helps them to not freeze, and you can open any cabinets where pipes are, helps the air circulate a little bit better for there. All right, clear skies now, and that means the temperatures will definitely be able to keep cooling off as we go through the overnight hours tonight. You can see off to our west, mostly clear skies too. There's a pretty big area of high pressure. That means that's going to move closer to our area over the next several days, and we'll see sunshine during the day, which is great. However, not going to be enough to warm us up very much. Tomorrow morning, waking up, most of us are in the single digits, northern and western Maine. The negative single digits, we'll call them, about 5 below for many spots. Then as we go through the day tomorrow, it's just not warming up much at all. Only in the single digits and teens for high temperatures tomorrow. And unfortunately, for the next 7 to 8 days, this is what we can expect for high temperatures. By tomorrow night, you see it cools right back down, and then through the overnight hours, most of us will actually fall below 0 for tomorrow night into Thursday. That includes the coast. And remember, with the wind chill, it's going to be even colder than that, staying cold right through the end of the week and into the weekend as well. Well, why is it so cold? Because the jet stream is situated well off to our south, and unfortunately it stays there. You can see right as we go through the weekend, it is staying definitely on the cold side, even into the middle of next week, but finally at the end of next week, it'll start to warm up at least a little bit. Here, I put the marine forecast in for you because Keith's not here. Seas 4 to 6 feet for tomorrow. Here's your extended forecast. Not a lot to really explain on this. Look at the high temperatures though, and even look at the low temperatures. Each day we're going to be talking about the wind chill and how cold it's going to feel. It's just going to feel cold. Single digits and low to mid-teens, even at the coast for an extended stretch of time. Look at this. This is right into the middle of next week, into the beginning of next year. We'll see sun during the day, so that's at least good. And still watching the potential for maybe a storm on Sunday, but right now I'm more focused on the cold.
This
Gotta
one's
stay
gonna
warm.
hurt.
I know.
Yeah.
Not
See
great.
that adjective bitter on the screen.
Ugh.
Makes everybody smile. The Now team really has timed their vacations impeccably. I was gone during the snowstorm. Goldberg is gone during all this freezing cold. So anyway.
But we're here now, so. All right, thanks,
That's what's
Jet.
important. Thanks, Jet. We have a look at what's coming up tonight on News Center at 5:30.
Just when you thought you were done with shopping, it might be time to go back to the mall. It is return season, and Mainers are certainly hitting the stores. And a terrifying moment for passengers landing at Logan Airport. A plane slides off the runway. Those stories and much more coming up after now.
Keith is off today, so no brain drops. Instead, here's a dog trying to catch some snowflakes. This video was sent to us by George. That yellow lab is Lucy, and obviously she was feeling the Christmas spirit and really liked the weather.
At least someone did. Now, many people recognize Christmas the 26th as Boxing Day, but today is also National Thank You Note Day. In today's high-tech world, etiquette experts still agree writing and sending thank you notes goes a long way teaching children about being thankful.
And thank you for watching News Center Now. Go watch News Center at 5:30.